See you then, Laura. Breaking news this morning, a fatal mass shooting on the Cape Fear River. It happened in the Southport Yacht Basin, killing 3 people and injuring at least 8 others. Police now say where people were dining outside the American Fish Company restaurant around 9:30 last night. Southport police say the shooter aboard a boat pulled up, opened fire, then sped away.
Police will be giving an update on a mass shooting at a Michigan church where hundreds of worshipers were inside. Authorities say the shooter in that shooting used an assault rifle, killing 2 people and wounding at least 8 others. And you see that dark smoke coming from that church. The police chief saying at some point during the rampage, the attacker set fire to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Well, today, we will hear from the white community discussing the recent mass shootings. Check it out.
I fucking had it with PTSD being a part of the headline of every time a white man gets all furious and decides to go do something. I have a brother just like that who proudly states he's part of the Michigan militia. The problem is the people that surround all those people, they're never going to say anything because they just choose to either think, well, it's never going to be them, or just not say anything at all for whatever reason. There are too many people in this world, a lot that were in the military at some time, that just been itching and waiting for a moment like this, what's happening now, to go on so they can just go free. When I've spoke to my parents or other family members about it, they're like, well, that's not real. Fuck yeah, it's real. It's real. There's hate groups all over the place. The Triple K is only about 35-ish minutes, the headquarters in Michigan, from where this man did this. And I'm also going to go out on a limb here and say that he connected CK, Utah, Mormon, and that's what happened. Small minds are not capable of critical thinking. Well, yeah, because, I mean, somebody that's able to critically think probably wouldn't do that. But, yeah, I believe it was a revenge.
This is where it gets dark. The darkness is being shown to us, and Donald Trump's making it very clear. In the space of an hour, he's put out 2 posts, both related to the LDS Church. There was a shooting recently, and there was 2 people that were killed, Mormons, in Michigan. And Donald Trump puts out a post. It says, I have been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc in Michigan. Then he puts out another post within the hour, and it says, Russell M. Nelson, the president and the prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, passed away last night at the age of 101. Coincidence? He just had his birthday earlier in the week. Russell was sharp and engaged in service until the end. Our hearts and prayers are with his incredible wife, Wendy, his 10 children, 57 grandchildren, and more than 167 great-grandchildren. Well, if you know anything about the LDS Church, there's a lot of incest that's been going on over the years. There's a lot of corruption when it comes to the church. So all you have to do is go and search Russell Nelson, and then you will see abuse lawsuit against Latter-day Saint Church. President's family is dismissed.
Attorney Craig Vernon is seeking the deposition of LDS Church President Russell M. Nelson in his ongoing lawsuit on behalf of 6 unnamed people. They're suing Nelson's daughter and son-in-law, Brenda and Richard Miles, accusing them of sexual abuse back in the 1980s. They're among several people accused of abusing children in a Bountiful ward. The lawsuit also claims that others covered it up.
It's been going on for so many years. There's been cover-ups all the time. It says, judge denies early depositions in sex abuse case involving LDS Church president's family. It says the lawsuit alleges that in 1985, a man only identified as a perpetrator in the court papers sexually abused his children. It also claims a 16-year-old babysitter was both a victim and perpetrator of abuse, who later committed suicide. Then it accuses the Miles of abuse. And this is where people have to start using some common sense now. Donald Trump is showing us. There's no coincidence that it's both posts within an hour, both about the LDS Church, is bringing attention to this matter. And Q has told us so many times, those who you are taught to trust the most. It says, only the beginning. Those who you are taught to trust the most. Expect many, many, many similar reports to surface from around the world. It goes a lot deeper. It's all connected. The choice to know will be yours. Look out for the clues. He's leaving it very clearly for us. 10 children, 57 grandchildren, and 167 great-grandchildren. You do a little research on Russell Nelson and you see there's been cases of within the family for so many years, and we're going to find out so much more about this. What does it mean, though? We are now in the revelations. It's being revealed to us, meaning dark to light. It's happening and it's being shown to us.
Friends, I just talked to you about who they have identified as being the person who did the mass pew-pew at the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan, and then they said that he lived in Burton, Michigan, and I thought, oh, fuck, that's a blood red area. That's all. They vote red. You'd be hard-pressed to find a liberal in that fucking city. If you're a Trump voter, a red hat, you live out that way. Then we found his picture. Avid hunter. Hunters have lots of weapons, right? Then we found out that he's a Marine. But I think the biggest sign for me about why our fearless leader didn't point the finger at the left this time was when they saw the truck that he owns, that he used to drive into the church. Let me zoom in. Those are two, he loves America. Those are two American flags. If you zoom in on the license plate, he's also an Iraq war vet. Just saying, if you're going to go ahead and label Antifa as a terrorist organization because of the mass pew-pewings without any evidence that these people belong to Antifa or the left at all, are you going to label Iraq war vets also a terrorist organization? It's that absurd. It's that fucking absurd. Anyway, my question still remains. This was premeditated AF. What did that church do to him or someone he loves? That wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. He plotted that shit.
Okay, apparently this is the truck. I said it wasn't because I looked it up and only one person had that, and there was a whole bunch of other white trucks hitting churches. So, apparently it's a thing. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure before we spiraled out and started attacking people. Not that I want to attack anyone, but clearly 40-year-old white male driving that truck, we can surmise some things. And I know growing up in the Mormon cult that we're not Christians, regardless of what they say now, because they're trying to fit in. And Christians didn't like Mormons. They don't usually care for Mormons. I know other people will argue with me, but in general, there's a real divide there. So if they felt that someone from the Mormon church had, did what they did with Charlie, then this absolutely could have been the motive behind that. I'm so tired of the finger pointing, but I understand the knee-jerk reaction to defend ourselves because of what they're going to say, and they're not posting a lot of these pictures. So we'll see what happens. This is a hard thing to get around. 40-year-old white male with that truck, and a very possible motive. Didn't expect Mormons to pay the price for that, but here we are. Maybe people will start paying more attention that anyone is susceptible to gun violence. This is a really rough way to learn.
Guys, there have been 6 mass shootings in the United States in the last 24 hours. 2 were in my home state of Louisiana. One was in Alexandria. Another one was on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. And then you had the lone gunman at the Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, that decided to shoot it up and then set it on fire. Then in North Carolina, you have a man drive up on his boat to a lakefront bar, and he starts shooting up the place, and the police said that this was highly, highly premeditated. I think the time that we have all been waiting for is finally here, and I think we really need to keep our heads on a swivel. I think the enemy is all around us, and I also think that we really need to question the enemy on all fronts, because in a time where all of this is happening so quickly, we really need to have critical thinking skills and look at every option and decide the truth for ourselves, because it's not always the truth that we are told.
And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm.
And so I really pray that everyone just uses their discernment, and if things don't necessarily feel right, then maybe look into it, because that's how you're going to find the truth. You're not going to be told it. So just be careful out there, everyone. God bless, and God bless America.
Did you guys hear that? Do you hear that? Oh, I don't either. Nothing coming from Pam Bondi's mouth, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, Steve Miller, about this guy. Yeah, where are they? Why aren't they having press conferences? Why aren't they standing next to the local police or the FBI office near this unaliving and holding a press conference to tell everybody that this man, this white man, consumed right-wing content, targeted a bar on a pier in North Carolina, used an assault rifle to do mass pew-pewing. 3 people lost their lives. Many more are in critical condition. He actually sued the state of North Carolina or his local city in North Carolina, claiming that the LGBTQ community is trying to commit a genocide against straight men. I wonder where he got that from. Where's Pam Bondi? Where is our Department of Justice? Where's Ted Cruz holding a press conference saying right-wing violence must stop? Innocent people must stop being targeted by people who are reading all of our conspiracies and getting triggered by our hate mongering since Donald Trump came on the scene in 2016. This is another stat that gets added to the thousands of stats since Donald Trump entered the scene of white men consuming right-wing content and then going out and unaliving a bunch of people. We all know the stats. Number 1, white men. This is political violence, mostly using pew-pews. Then white young men, both of which consume right-wing content. Then below that, you have all the other men. None of them that stand out in terms of high numbers. They could be leftists. They could be mentally ill. They could be black. They could be Hispanic. But they're way below all of the white men up here who consume right-wing content. And we just added another number to it. Way at the bottom of the list that we never really have to ever worry about are women. There was another shooting this morning in Michigan at a Mormon church. The shooter is down. The church was set on fire. Don't know how many people were injured. They're not releasing the name of the shooter. Something tells me that's politically motivated as well. This is just going to become commonplace. And this administration is going to remain silent as the mass pew-pewing due to right-wing content, hate content, fear-mongering, conspiracies adds up again. They're going to remain silent. And they're only going to elevate and push out when somebody appears to be from the left. And we have to make sure they do not create a false narrative. Because you know what? Every single person's life, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, is at risk of this kind of rage baiting. To hate the LGBTQ so much that he goes out and unalives people at a bar, claiming they're going to genocide straight men? He didn't get that himself. That came from Trump and Project 2025. And
something really weird going on with this story. It doesn't match the MO of a dude like this. And I know that he was an Iraq war veteran, okay? I'm going to scroll through. But he had a Trump sign. He had 2 American flags in the back of his truck. And then he apparently lit the building on fire by running his truck into it. It just doesn't match the MO of somebody like that. And I know there's a lot of mental illness along with a lot of people that have suffered from the Iraq war because we haven't taken care of those people. We've been taking all the money and shipping it overseas. Maybe that's the reason why maybe I just figured it out. Maybe that's the reason why I was so mad at Trump, because he keeps giving all of our money back to our greatest ally over there. But I think that they should take care of all the veterans. Obviously, we shouldn't have one homeless veteran. We should have houses provided for them for free. Like, oh, you just came back from war? Okay, well, here's a free house for you. Wouldn't that be nice? I think there would be a lot less stressful or stressed out vets out there if we actually took care of them. But it just doesn't match the MO of a guy like this, a country boy, to go and do that to a church, okay? Maybe a mosque or something like that. I would believe mosque. Most mental illness comes from lack of money, okay? And if we can't provide resources for the people that have served the country, we should provide them with resources. They should get a food stamp card. Say, hey, you know, we know that you probably don't need it. You can probably go get your own money and whatnot, but just to say thank you for serving the country, here's $400 a month for free food. Here's a house for you. Wouldn't that be amazing if they did that kind of stuff? Anyway, I think that it just doesn't match the MO of a guy like this to do that to a church. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section.
I have seen so many videos already about this incident that happened in Michigan, which is tragic, at that LDS church. So many videos already from MAGA people just saying, see, here's another one. Here's another one here. I'm just letting you guys know that this is the new normal. This is what Trump and the Republican Party have set up so that every time there is a violent incident, it is going to be blamed on the left. And at this point, they're not even waiting for Kash Patel or the FBI to make up bullshit evidence. They're just going right to it. See, they've already been trained like a bunch of SEALs to just go after it right away. So never mind the don't politicize it. Remember all that? Don't make it about politics when we wanted to talk about gun reform. They don't care about that. They're immediately politicizing it and immediately blaming it on the left. So just so you know, this is where we're at now. Every single time there is an incident that happens, it doesn't matter if it has absolutely zero to do with politics. They're going to make it about politics and it's going to be blamed on the left. So I don't know what you want to do with that. If you want to just, get ready to be arguing with them every single time, if you want to just ignore it. But I'm just letting you know that now this is the new normal. This is the way he set it up and they are obliging willingly. Such a bunch of sheep.
This is divine judgment. America is under judgment, not by man, but by God himself. The same God who judged Egypt, who judged Babylon, who judged Rome, is now weighing America in the balance and finding her wanting. America has sown destruction, and now it reaps decline. It has sown arrogance, and now it reaps humiliation. It has sown lies, and now it reaps truth, truth that cannot be hidden anymore. America is a land built on blood, on the sweat and suffering of the people it has enslaved, displaced, and silenced. But tell that truth today, and they call it divisive. They call it unpatriotic. They want you to believe that history is just a collection of dates and figures, stripped of the brutality, the deception, the theft. They tell you the Trail of Tears was just relocation, that the Colfax Massacre, Wilmington Coup and Massacre, Rosewood Massacre, Atlanta Race Massacre, Ocoee Massacre, Tulsa Massacre, Harlem Race Massacres of 1943 and 1964 was just riots, and that Jim Crow was merely a setback. What they refuse to admit is that America was never a nation of freedom. It was a nation of conquest, built on white supremacy, and it has never stopped being one. And that is why they are so desperate to erase the past. You see, history, real history, has power. It reveals the truth of this nation, of what was done and what is still being done. They call it critical race theory today, but it's just the truth, and that's why they fight so hard to bury it. From school boards banning books, to politicians scrubbing slavery from textbooks, to social media platforms silencing voices that dare speak honestly about America's past. White supremacy is culturally ingrained into every aspect of white society, in the home, school, religion, and politics. But tell me, what does it say about a people who fear history? It says they know their hands are bloody, and they are terrified that their children will ask them why. Because the truth would destroy their illusion of innocence. The same way it did when the world saw Black Wall Street burn. The same way it did when Jim Crow's chains were exposed for what they were. The same way it did when the Southern strategy was revealed as a blueprint for racial control, not democracy. But America has always had a strategy. Slave patrols became the police. Redlining became modern real estate steering. The plantation became the prison. And now, they want to act like none of it happened. They want to rewrite history to keep future generations obedient, ignorant, docile. And yet, what they don't understand is that you cannot erase pain. You cannot erase memory. You cannot erase the reality of people who have suffered and endured. This nation made laws to steal land from Native people. The Homestead Act gave free land to whites while barring black freedmen Americans from ownership. The Immigration Act of 1924 made sure America remained a white country, closing its doors to those it deemed unfit. And when we, black freedmen Americans, dared to build wealth, dared to thrive, they sent mobs, they sent bombs, they sent laws disguised as justice to tear down black freedmen Americans' communities. And it wasn't enough for them to unalive us. They had to erase us. They built highways through our neighborhoods, turning communities into ghettos. They passed California Proposition 14 to uphold segregation. They used COINTELPRO to assassinate black leaders. They used the daughters of Confederates to put Confederate statues in our faces, not in 1865, but during the Civil Rights Movement, as a warning, as a message. And still, they want us to believe in their version of America, an America where slavery was a misunderstanding, where the Tuskegee experiment was a footnote, where mass incarceration is just an accident. No, sir. No, ma'am. White supremacy is in the bones of this country, in the schools, the churches, the homes, the politics. It is a disease, and they refuse to cure it. But there is something they should fear more than the truth being known. They should fear what happens when the next generation realizes they have been lied to. What happens when young people of all colors understand that history was stolen from them, that their textbooks were propaganda, that their teachers were ordered to deceive. A people who know they have been deceived do not trust, and a people who do not trust begin to question everything. That is what America fears most, not the past, but the reckoning it demands. And that reckoning is coming. No matter how many books they ban, no matter how many voices they silence, no matter how many lies they tell, truth is like a flame. It spreads. And once it touches the people, it cannot be extinguished. The question is not whether America will reckon with its past. The question is whether America will survive what it has done. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.